Hey everybody, I'm here today with a video of myself installing some brackets. Now these brackets will be used to hold up a shelf. Now I've actually sped up the video just so that you can actually see it and you don't have to sit through the entire process at regular speed, just to save you some time while you're watching this. So the first thing that I do is I actually make the markings on the wall for each of the brackets. Okay, so I took a bracket and I placed it on the left there, and I already had a line on the wall of where I wanted the bracket to be. So I already made sure that it's level. So now you can see I'm doing the same thing with the right bracket. I'm making sure that it's level, and there are 3 holes for 3 screws on each of the brackets. So I'm taking that pencil, once I've made sure that it's in place and it's level, and I actually make the holes for the screws where the screws will be. Now I take the level and I'm actually holding the level to the screw holes, to each of the sets of screw holes, the top set and the bottom one, just to make sure that both brackets are level with each other. And you want to do this because if you're placing a shelf up there and it's not level, then things are going to be tilting to one side or the other. So now I actually use the drill and I'm just making holes in the wall for the wall anchors. Now I like to do one at a time. You can do both brackets together, but I like to do one at a time just to make sure that it looks the way that I want it to be, and I can make any appropriate changes with the second one if I need to make any changes. So I placed the bracket on the wall there to make sure that everything's in place. I'm tapping in the wall anchors, and if I need to make the hole a bit bigger, I just grab the drill right there and I make it a bit bigger. But I'm tapping in the drywall anchors just to make sure that it's held onto the wall nice and securely. If you're actually screwing into wooden studs, then you don't need drywall anchors, but because I'm not hitting any studs with this, I need the drywall anchors. Now I grab 3 screws and I'm just going to start off by finger tightening them into the bracket. And then once they've been finger tightened into the bracket, then I actually just take the drill and I use the drill to get the bracket onto the wall nice and securely. Now, I'm actually doing 2 brackets. I'm installing 2 brackets for this video. So you're going to get to see the same process twice just to reinforce what I'm showing you and what I'm saying. So as you can see, I have the drill right there, just drilling it in nice and easily. I drill all 3 in about, I would say, 90% of the way, and then I just go through all 3 and I tighten them up just to 100% tightness, just to make sure that they're fully in. And that's what I like to do, because if you just screw one of them in all the way without touching the other 2 screws, the bracket might end up being on an angle, and that's not what you want. So now I'm moving on to the right bracket. I'm taking the drill. Once again, I'm using the appropriate size drill bit for the wall anchors, and I'm making the 3 holes in the wall for the wall anchors. So now I'm just drilling the bottom hole right there. Now I'm going to take the wall anchors and try and tap them in place with the hammer. Once again, if I need to use the drill to make any of the holes bigger, that's what I will do. I'm not sure I don't remember if I had to when I was doing this, but I might have had to. So now I'm once again getting the wall anchors, putting them in place, and it's a very, very simple process. Now I take the bracket, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the screws and I'm just going to finger tighten them in place. So I actually only put one wall anchor in place at this point because I thought that I was hitting a wooden stud, and when I put the screw in, I realized that the screw wasn't long enough to actually get to the wooden stud. So now I realize that I need the other 2 anchors as well. So I'm tapping in the second wall anchor right there, and then I'm going to try and tap in the third wall anchor right here. And this just goes to show you that sometimes things don't go as planned. You have to take a step back and take a step forward when you're installing things. Now I just finger tighten the screws in place, and then I'm going to take the drill and tighten the screws in place with the drill. Once again, starting off with about 90% for each of the screws, and then just finishing off and tightening everything to 100%. Now, it's always a good idea to double check your measurements and make sure that everything's level before you actually drill, which is what I did before I started to use the drill. Because once you make a hole in the wall, you kind of can't take that back. If it's wrong, you have to go with spackling compound and touch everything up, and that adds a lot of time and effort to the job. And that's basically it. I always just wiggle the bracket to make sure that it's nice and tightly in place. You don't want it wiggling. It should not wiggle at all. And that's it. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video.